Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Courtney. I am a first year PA student in Florida. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe and like this video and comment any videos that you're interested. If you're not following me on Instagram yet, my name on Instagram is myway_2PA. But right now I am on my lunch break in the middle of school. Today I am doing a highly requested video of how I study and how to not get overwhelmed in PA school. So let's get into it. So for how I study, this starts in class with note taking. So I like to color code my notes. I use an iPad Generation 7 for my notes with an Apple Pencil, and I use the app Notability, but I will color code my highlighter so that way I know what is important versus not. For example, whenever my professor mentions anything, I highlight in pink, but then whenever he kind of hints that that material will be tested on, then I highlight that in yellow. So that way I definitely know this, and then I know if something's not highlighted at all, it's probably not as important, so don't focus on it as much. This helps a lot whenever I'm going back and studying. I also will try to write down everything that my professor says if it's not on the PowerPoint slide already. Occasionally he'll test us on this information. If he doesn't test us on it, it's usually in the slides later on. So that means that he's going to go over it twice, which means it's probably important to write down and know. Or just in general, it's good supplemental information that will help you understand everything better as a whole. So that way when you're going through, everything makes sense a little bit more versus if you just had that PowerPoint material. So I really try to get all that information down, and it usually helps to connect concepts better too. Another thing that I do whenever I am taking notes in class is I will star in a certain color highlighter whenever I feel like I missed some of the information that he said and I didn't take good notes on it, or if I just lost focus in general, and then I'll go back and listen to that portion of the lecture later on to make sure that I fill in all the notes that were missing and make sure I have everything I need. And then beyond class, once I'm actually studying, I like to go through each PowerPoint 2 to 3 times depending on how much time I have. I found that this really just repetition helps me memorize the best personally. On my second or last time going through the PowerPoint, I like to make separate notes about things that I don't know yet or things that are really important that I need to look over again. And then the morning before the exam, I will wake up a little bit early and go through those separate notes, and then this just helps me refresh that information right before the test. And so far that's been working out pretty well for me. When I'm studying, I like to use a third color highlighter, usually purple if anybody cares, and I will go through and highlight things that I just think are important, or even just to be actively studying, so that way I'm not just reading and that's it. It usually helps me focus if I'm highlighting while I go. So I'll highlight in that third color, so that way I know it's nothing necessarily important, it's just something that I did to help my focus. But for classes like ethics, I found that actually making Quizlets, half the time I don't even actually go through them. The process of actually making the Quizlets for ethics helps me to memorize that material and really understand it because I'm making questions or separating it up in a way that I really need to understand what I'm reading. So that's been helping me for those other classes like ethics that aren't as science-based. So for important structures such as the pathway of arteries and nerves or something like that, or even just to memorize a whole bunch of hormones, for example, I'll use this big whiteboard behind me and write or draw it out multiple times, and then that usually helps me really visualize and have something hands-on so that way I can remember it easier. One more great resource is using the class above you. So ask them questions. They will know best whether you should read the textbook, don't read the textbook, just look at the PowerPoints, anything like that. They will know best because they just went through these classes, so don't forget to reach out to them. Luckily, my program actually assigns us a buddy from the class above us to ask questions. That has been so helpful for me. It helps me not waste my time. So definitely don't forget about that resource. So make sure that you figure out what works best for you, know what type of learner you are, because everybody's going to be different, but for me personally, this is what works. All right, so now I'm going to talk about how to prevent getting overwhelmed in PA school. The first thing I really recommend is to remember your why. Remember why you're studying. This will help you not get burnt out, because if you're thinking about how you're studying to help your future patients, that personally drives me more than just studying to get a good grade on a test, because it really matters. Like, you need to know this material for your future. Another important thing to remember is that you can only do the best that you can. If you're trying your hardest and you're still not doing absolutely insanely good, like you're not getting 100% on your exams, which you don't need to, don't beat yourself up about it. And if you are struggling, make sure that you reach out to your classmates and you reach out to your professors for help and tips. Every single one of my classmates has been so supportive of anyone that has asked for help. I don't think that there's one person in my class that isn't willing to help somebody study or help them figure out what's important for the test and all of that. So definitely make sure that you use your professors and your classmates, because they're there to help you and they're not going to judge you. They want you to succeed. And now for probably my most important tip for how to not get overwhelmed in PA school is to take it one day at a time. You really need to just think about what you can do in that moment to better yourself as a student and a future provider. Just think about, okay, I need to study for this certain exam or whatever. You can't think about, oh my gosh, I have this many exams within this next month and I need to do this, this, and that, because you're gonna get overwhelmed. Just think about, okay, what can I do now? And then that's it. Another really important thing is that you need to take breaks. If you are trying to study and you just aren't getting through anything, you're not being productive, that is probably a sign that you need a little break. Take, even if it's just half an hour, a little break, take a nap, do whatever makes you happy, and then come back to it. Because if you are just frustrated and you can't focus, then you're not going to be productive and it's going to slow you down more than if you were to just take a little break. And remember, I always try to take at least one day where I don't study at all, whether that is like a Friday night or just take like all of Saturday off. And obviously this depends on what I have coming up the next week, but I always try to take a break, because if you don't take a break, you're gonna go crazy, you're gonna get burnt out. So remember, breaks are super important. And one last and final thing, even if you aren't struggling and you need help in that aspect, if you're just feeling overwhelmed, talk to your support system, talk to your classmates. They understand what you're going through, and just let it out. If you're just holding it in and feeling overwhelmed, then that can be worse than if you were to just talk to your support system or your classmates and get those feelings out. Sometimes it helps just to vent for a little bit. Anyway, those are my tips on how to not get overwhelmed in PA school and how I study in PA school. So if you have any studying tips or any tips on how to not get overwhelmed, make sure that you leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at myway_2PA. If you have any video requests, make sure that you DM me on Instagram or comment them down below and I'd be happy to do them. Okay, have a great day. Bye.